Hi everyone, this is Peter from OECK, and on today's video we're going to go over the differences between a traditional VPN and OECK. So traditionally a VPN is used for three things. The first one being your ISP snooping on your activity, the second being streaming, and the third being P2P activity. So let's go over the snooping first. Snooping is when your ISP logs what you're doing and when you're doing it. So this is called metadata. I'm not really going to go real far into it, just purely because there's stacks of articles online and like stacks and stacks of YouTube videos from people who have explained the subject in great depth. But basically, the ISP knows which websites you're accessing and what time you're accessing them and for how long you were accessing them, things like that. I personally see that as a massive invasion of my privacy. I don't want them knowing what I'm doing just because I value my privacy. There's other people out there who don't. They don't care. And a VPN for privacy won't be suited to those people because they don't give a shit. I do. I don't know if you do. You might. That's a big thing. So what we did with OECK when we were building it with the privacy side of it, we said let's make this as private as we possibly can. So we ended up setting it up so our servers, we own the servers for a start. So the servers and the routers are ours. So we rent cabinet space and network connectivity from the data centers. So we own all that. So we said, okay, servers, no hard drives, no logging at all. There is nothing we can give to anyone about any user regarding user activity because we just simply don't have it. The most we have is an email address, and even that was a compromise. We were going to have no email address required at all, but we thought just in case we need to contact the user urgently, we'll go and do it this way. And I know you can do it through apps, and if the user has the app, like you can set it up so you can send a message through the app and things like that, but not every user is going to want it on the app. I don't use any of the OECK apps at all. Mine's set up on my router. My whole house is connected to OECK all the time. So if OECK ever had to contact me, the only way they can do that is through email. So as far as privacy goes, we've done everything reasonably practicable to maximize our users' privacy. So there's no logging and no hard drives. Everything runs off RAM. So that's we addressed that first major category in that way. The second one is streaming. So a lot of users like to use a VPN because they can, if say they're located in Australia and they want to access a service that's only available in America, they can just connect to an American VPN server, and sometimes they'll be able to get that content if that IP of that server hasn't been blocked by the streaming service. So we thought, okay, we want to do that, but how can we make it like just that next level? Just make it a bit easier for the user. Make it just make it more fluid, more sweet. How do we do that? All right. Well, what would be ideal? And I don't know about you guys, but for me, ideal is like 1998 sort of internet. Now I know there wasn't streaming services and shit like that, but there was no fucking borders on it either. It was a wild west. So Cameron and I thought, what if we can bring a little bit of that back? How do we do that? So what we went ahead and did is made it so you can connect to any VPN region that you want. So for me, it will be Australia because I'm in Australia, my VPN's in Australia, it's nice and fast. But if I want American content, I could still access that without leaving the Australian VPN. So we've set it up in our channels system. It's effectively a smart DNS service woven into the VPN, so you can access these streaming services whilst being connected just to a single VPN server from various countries. So UK, USA, Canada, various countries, and we keep adding more. Um, the second part of that was to make it more sort of stable. Uh, it's a pain in the ass when your shit gets banned, and now you're like, fuck, I need to change all my IPs and things like that. It's a real pain. So we thought, let's make the IPs residential IPs, and we don't charge um, like an extra fee for that. So it's not like, oh, if you want IPs, you're gonna have to pay X amount per month on top of your subscription. No, our proxy network, which is separate from our VPN, that is made up of all residential IPs. And how that works is when you want a streaming service from a different country and you're connected to your country. So if I want an American streaming service and I'm connected to the Australian VPN, it will go through the VPN, tell the proxy, this is what I want, fetch that data, go through the proxy, back through the VPN to your computer or your tablet or your TV, whatever. And that does it through a residential network. You never directly communicate with that network, but that's what it's set up there for. So that's how we addressed the issue with channel unblocking and the category of channel unblocking. So we made it the best that we possibly can. The only drawback is it's not completely automatic. So we have to manually add the services that you guys want unblocked. So what you guys need to do, if there's something that we haven't unblocked, contact us. Just say, look, guys, this is a service I want to be able to access. Can you add it? And we'll just go ahead and do it. The third thing is torrenting. And that's sort of makes up the major three categories, what a VPN is really at its core good for. Torrenting, again, you want your privacy with it. If you're downloading, I don't know, Ubuntu, the latest version of it, and you want to torrent it, like, no one needs to know that you're torrenting Ubuntu. No one needs to know that you're installing Ubuntu. Elementrios, if you want to download that, no one needs to know. No one needs to know. There's there's open source software that's free that you can torrent. No one needs to know that you're torrenting that. There is no reason for him to know. So we went ahead and built a region specifically dedicated to peer-to-peer activities. It's made for that. It's set up specifically for that. Lots of bandwidth available there. So we've addressed those three things. Now, of course, we wanted those to be the best they possibly could be because they're the core reasons for a VPN. But the other shit we put in there, that takes it sort of away from a VPN, and we just use the VPN technology to make that happen. So it's almost a means to an end. So one of the things we do is we have a very flexible, I guess it's a DNS system at the end of the day. We call it Cerberus, and that allows you to block ads, block malware, block trackers, and also block content. So you can block social network sites and things like that. You can block a lot of ads at the DNS level, so they just don't come in. Now, of course, it's not 100% foolproof. Nothing is. But we keep these lists updated, and for the most part, they work really, really well. Now, we are working on OECK periodically, so that right now is one of the next things that it's going to be worked on, and we're going to expand on that. There are DNS services like Next DNS, which looks really good. We're probably going to move our Cerberus feature more into that direction. So you'll be able to have more, just a bit more flexibility over what block lists you want to use, which ones you don't want to use. Um, Currently, at the moment, you can do this. Now, there's custom block lists, so there might be a website that doesn't fall into any category because it's not an ad, it's not malware, it's not a tracker, and it's not social media. But there's just a site, and for whatever reason, you don't like that website, and I don't know why. Um, but you're like, fuck that website, I don't want it. I'm gonna block it on Cerberus, and then none of that website's well, you can't access that website. Put it that way. That's really good, and I wanted that primarily for my daughter, only because I wanted to sort of lock down my internet. So I can still get out to other stuff, but she can't. Um, and I can also block things, again, that don't go into any lists because they're my personal things. So I might want to block a toy store, for example, because her grandmother and grandfather just gave her $50 because she graced them with her presents for the weekend, and they decided, you know what, we're going to spoil her, so we're going to give her some money. And then she comes home and she's like, I want to spend it on this stuff. And I don't want to go into a rant or anything, but $50 for me when I was a kid, I could buy like a lot of really cool shit. Like, I could get a couple of small tools, screwdrivers, things like that. Nah, not these days. They want to buy like bucks for games, and it's like, but what do you? Anyway, I'm not going to go into that because I'm just going to go on a rant. I don't like it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to start blocking these games and websites. So there's that as well. Um, so again, that's outside of what a traditional VPN is. Now you can do it through a DNS service, of course, but this is just another feature in the VPN, and it's really handy. I love it. I really love it. So that's another thing that we add to the VPN that's sort of making it more than a VPN. It's just expanding it a bit, expanding. We have a thing called device profiles. We call them device profiles. Effectively, what they are is a sub account for your OECK account. So you signed up to OECK and you've got your own account, and you can have up to 6 simultaneous devices. That's cool. But because of the other stuff we've built into the service, it gives you a lot of flexibility. So I'll just explain to you my setup at home and how the device profiles help me. So I've got OECK set up on the router, and on the router, OECK is set up with everything blocked. So any device you go on that is connected to my router has a lot of shit blocked. Ads, malware trackers, social media, everything is by default locked. I have a VPN running on my computer, and with that, I use my own sub account. So my username is Peter. For my computer, my username is Peter-PC1, and that has its own settings. So I've got a couple of streaming services set to various countries because that's what I watch. So, for example, I like to watch KO, so I'll have that set up for my TV. When I have KO enabled, I can't access Hulu because they share the same content delivery network. So for me, it's set to KO. Hulu will not work on my computer, but KO will. And I've got things disabled for malware and things like that. So I've got full open internet. That's my setup. My wife, on the other hand, her PC, she likes Hulu, but she couldn't give a fuck about sports at all. So her one is set up to be able to access Hulu from Australia. She won't be able to access KO because she doesn't care. But that's her very particular set of settings. And her computer or her device profile follows those settings. So it's very handy. And my daughter, again, she has a whole bunch of other settings as well, because sometimes it's like, okay, well, I'm allowing you to go on, you know, these websites for a bit, and I'll turn the filter off and things like that. So that's where the device profiles really shine. I've also got some surveillance cameras, so I use the port forwarding in that. That's actually a good sort of segue into my next thing, which is the port forwarding. But they've got their own device profile with their own settings, and it allows the port forwarding just to affect just that device with the login, which is the camera login. So the port forwarding works when you're trying to access your home network from the outside, and you want to be able to communicate with software within your home network. So for me, it's the cameras. Again, there's a video I made explaining the port forwarding, which I'll link again in the description, and that'll explain to you how the port forwarding works with the camera setup. But again, you can use it for pretty much whatever you want. What we did with the port forwarding, though, is we made it easy. We didn't just say, this is these are the ports we're giving you. Now go and configure all your settings to work on that port. We said, this is the port we're giving you. You tell us what port you want us to forward to, and it's one click, and it's all working. It's really handy. It's really, really handy. As I said in the other video, I'm pretty lazy. I just can't be bothered doing stuff usually, unless like I really have to do it. So unless it's like work related, so for my full-time job or for OECK, I generally just, I don't want to do it. Unless Cameron's kind enough to come over and I'm like, why are you here, man? But anyway, with the port forwarding, it's just like, boom, it's done. Nice and easy. Our customer support, again, this isn't a feature so much. It's just part of how Cameron and I run the business. Our customer support, I'd say, is pretty good. We will bend over backwards for you if you try to help us help you. Even if what you're asking for is outside the scope of our support, unless whatever task it is going to be like a mammoth undertaking, and it's going to be like tens of hours, we'll probably give it a crack, and we'll be like, look, we looked into it. This is what we came up with. Try this, try that, do that. And if you put in a little bit of effort as well, and you're like, well, I tried this, and you keep that communication going, I can't recall a single ticket that we've ever had in the last 4 or 5 years that we ended up saying, nah, fuck you, we're not doing it. I can't recall one. If you look at, not reviews of us, which is a different issue again, if you look at what people are saying online, so if you look on the Whirlpool forums, or the product review Australian website, the customers tend to be pretty happy, because like they know if we run into an issue, Cameron and Pete are going to try and do whatever they can. And we do. And further to that, we only sell what we use. So the reason we don't support WireGuard yet is because Cameron and I don't fully trust it. We just think it's just a bit young. OpenVPN has been around for years and years and years, and it's really sort of, it's a strong, trusted protocol. I'm not saying WireGuard's shit or that it can't be trusted. It might be 100% perfect. At this point, Cameron and I are not comfortable enough with it. We would like to see it have a little bit more time, and then we'll implement it into OECK, which will give you better speeds with it as well. But because we're not prepared to use it for ourselves, we can't expect you to use it. Or at the very least, we're not going to charge you to use something that we don't want to use. And we built OECK on trust. We built it to be a great service. So if we're not going to compromise now, just because people think they need it, there is a good case to say you guys should put WireGuard in. There is a very, very good case. It will not change my mind or Cameron's mind that if we're not prepared to use it, we'd be fucking assholes to make you pay for something that we're not prepared to use. That's how we see it. So, in my opinion, that's a good thing for a company to do. Stacks of companies out there will fucking lie, or they'll embellish the truth, or they'll exaggerate just so they can make a sale. We don't do that. Like, this is the service. It's not perfect. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. We're not going to try and sell this service to someone who needs. If there's someone out there who needs a VPN and all they care about is, I don't want my ISP to spy on me. There are other VPN services, such as Molvad, where you install their app, click connect, and it's done. For someone who has absolutely no idea how to use a VPN, but that's their goal, Molvad would be better suited to them than OECK. Because our apps are not as polished as Molvad's. I prefer not to use the OECK apps at all. Same with Cameron. Now, we need to address that because, it is something that is better for the users ultimately, but we're not there right now. We're not there yet. So I'm not going to say to someone, yeah, buy our VPN and not that one because, I want to make the sale. No. There's been times we've had people contact us and support tickets. This is my goal. This is what I need it for. No, man, you're better off doing this. You're better off doing this. I can't count how many times people have said, I only want to unblock one particular streaming service and I don't care about privacy or anything like that. I don't care about my ISP snooping. I don't care who sees what I'm doing. I never torrent stuff. I only care about this one streaming service, and we're like, dude, just get a smart DNS service because it's going to cost you $2 a month, and it's just going to work. That's what they do. You're way better off doing that. Why spend 5 times the amount with us when you can get away with $2 a month? Like, we're not going to bullshit people. That's the other thing. The other thing is we built it for stability. So if you ask our customers, the ones who have it set up for sort of permanent connectivity, so the ones in their routers, you don't want the VPN like dropping out and then going back online and then dropping out and going back online. It's a pain in the ass. You just want it. The idea is have the service running and you don't even want to know that it's running. The only thing you want to know that it's running is that, okay, it is switched on. A green light will be fine. But you don't want to know that it's even there. Like, non-intrusive. It's just sort of part of the internet again. Going back 30 years. Like, okay, there's no borders on the internet. There's none of this fucking geo-blocking bullshit. Which I will make a video on because all these old business models, it's all crap. You just want it on in the background, doing its thing, and you just enjoy your internet and you enjoy the freedom. So yeah, that's sort of why OECK's not just a VPN anymore. There's a bit more to it, and it's sort of it's sort of a few different services sort of molded into one. So I'll probably make a few more videos, probably regarding streaming and why geo borders are a whole load of shit. But yeah, for now, thanks a lot.